Deconverted man here. It's just a talking floaty avatar head today. Uh, Not anything to look at this time, just something for me to read to you. I suppose we could have, if we're going to have anything on the screen, I could just have the different YouTube current proof of God stuff that's up on here. Beard Monsters, there's no proof of God. Then this happens. Oh, they're getting desperate for clicks here. All these AI generated bullshit. Hey, I know that guy. Yeah, oh, there he is again. Anyways, oh, there he is again. Oh, yeah. So just all this AI slop that has contributed. Oh, this is the worst video ever. This deserves its own video. It's horrible. It's absolute rot. Maybe I'll do it some other time. Not gonna do it now. Anyway, sorry. Maybe we don't need anything on the screen except for my flashy head. I'm gonna read an email. Obviously, sharing it is on screen is not, would risk showing the real name. So, I'm not going to do that. I suppose I could just copy and paste what they said. I'll leave a lot of it out. I will leave any revealing information or super revealing information out. That way there's at least something to see on screen, I guess. No, we need it. You know what? Maybe we don't need it. All right, let's not worry about that. Okay. So this is from a theologian and engineer. They said, "Hi there. I watched the video you made the other day. I'm actually not familiar with the person whose content you were reacting to." Okay, so this, Nitty. Hey, Nitty. Good times. Good morning. This is the video I did on the guy, what's his face, and I unsubscribed from him because he made a video about God and he was a science communicator up until then, or Arvin Ash. For whatever reason, that video got just hit the algorithm the right way, and so my Arvin Ash lost his mind in my subscription, and I just complain. I don't even go into the logic or the science or anything. So it's like, oh, can't I get these 606 views onto the other video that's much longer but goes into the logic and the science? No, apparently not. And so, but it got a lot of attention anyway. So that's where they found me. So they didn't know, who I am. They just know that. So they thought it would be helpful to talk to them. Okay. So they were an engineer for 26 years. Now, I gotta pause there. I don't care, what they were or are, that this is not relevant, but, they felt important that this was, their company went public. They were an early employee at Uber. And then they went to grad school, and then they studied theology and briefly became a minister. And then an advisor at a school suggested that they become a therapist. And then they did after divinity school. Then they switched schools to University of California, Berkeley. And then they studied clinical social work, and then eventually decided that wasn't the path for them. And then they went back to being an engineer, software engineer, information security and privacy, did biotech, then spooky government stuff, then California style big tech. And then says, you may be wondering, how do I make all this work in my head? Because as engineers, we care an awful lot about electrons and physics, the speed of light and the curvature of the earth and orbital dynamics, and are not just fuck around things. They have to be describable and have to work. I'm still a theologian and I still have faith. Then they give me their link tree if I wanted to learn a bit about them, and their CV. If you just want a little bit more background, I realize this all may sound a little hard to believe. I'm a pretty unusual person. The reason I suggest we talk is I think it's important, in italics, to be able to have conversations with people who have faith, who aren't giant idiots. One thing I think is really important is academics who study theology and divinity have graduate degrees and doctorates in their fields, but the people we often find online, quote, talking about God, quote, and so on, actually have very little intellectual / philosophical framework for reasoning about it. I'm on Discord if you'd like to chat sometime. I'm in the Netherlands, so it's going to be a different timeline. And then they sign their name, which I'm not going to repeat because, again, I don't want to give too much away about their personal info or whatever. Well, that sounds great. I love talking to people. So I responded to them. And I said, we can have an no, I'm not going to do a weird voice. We can have an information gathering dialogue where I ask you questions. You provide your answers. Questions I ask will be an attack on the ideas, not your person. I'm in Eastern Standard Time. Give me a daytime that works for you. I have you on my channel. And I'll email you the link a little bit before time, and then I'll link to whatever you want in the description. Here's a playlist I've taught with theists I've talked to. And some of those go well, some do not. It just depends on where the person's coming from and how honest they are about their stance. I don't hold back and call it as I see it. I use informal logic to analyze arguments for logical errors. I call them out if I notice them. Let me know if you want to talk live. I'm happy to do that now. What was my mistake here? Well, my mistake was to send them the Theologian playlist. I think possibly. Oi, Phantom X 11 says. I think possibly they saw the first one, which was Dr. Paywall's No Name. One more name, idiot. And I was abrasive towards him because he deserved it, in my opinion. My emotions, whatever. I think they watched a bit of that one and go, oh, God, this guy's going to hammer me, rake me over the coals. I don't want to talk to him. I think that's what happened. Now, I have brilliantly moved that particular video down to the third spot on my playlist of talks to theologians so that my top 2 talks are the good talks that I've had with theologians, and then it's Dr. No More Name, Paywall Nitwit, so that the lazy person will see, hey, this guy treats theists really nicely, then they'll want to talk to me. Anyways, that's what I think happened. I don't know. But I'll get to the next response. They said, "Thank you for sending me the playlist." ... I think this is not a good fit. I don't feel I can't say that word at all. Adversarial at all towards your viewpoints. I was hoping just to be able to talk to you about theology as a tool and how it's not incompatible with science and reason. I'm not, for an example, a theist. I think of myself as an academic. I think you may have misunderstood who I am and what my views are. Now, wait a minute. Just correct me if I'm wrong here, but they introduced themselves as a theist. They talked about how they're an engineer and all, or whatever, but they said, and I'm still a theologian and I still have faith. So that's how you introduced yourself to me. Now that you've seen that I ask questions about things, now all of a sudden, well, I'm an academic. I'm not really a theist. Okay, all right. Even though you are a theist. But now that you realize that you're going to be asked questions, now it's not a good fit. Okay. So I wrote back, it would not be a good fit if you just want to make claims and run away. You can think of yourself however you want. But if you don't have evidence and all you have is faith, theology as a tool? What theology? Hindu? Scientology? How does that tool function? See, that would be the question you would be running away from as well. I conclude you have no logic, no argument, no proof, and no evidence at all. This is why it's faith and not science. That is why it's not reason, it's myth. Now, was that a good response? Probably not. Probably that's just going to make them run further and faster away. But I know that. There's nothing I could say that's going to make them want to talk to me. They've already decided they don't want to talk anymore because, they don't want their ideas exposed to criticism. They just wanted to talk. They just wanted to say, hey, look, there's smart people out there that use theology. Not Pacific theology, but just theology broadly speaking, even though that doesn't exist. Like, all theology is Pacific theology. There is no, like, let's study theology. What do you mean? What does that mean? Like, so, they responded, no, I think you misunderstand. I do not wish to make any claims at all. They don't wish to make any claims at all. This would have gone great on my channel. I wish I'd had them on because that would have been brilliant. I would have loved that moment for them to say, I'm not making any claims at all. And be like, didn't you just claim that theology was a tool? That's a claim that you have made. But whatever. Anyways, sorry. It's hard to know when I'm reading the email and not reading the email. So I'm reading the email now. Okay. I do not wish to make any claims at all. Theology is a philosophy. Theology is not the same as orthodoxy, nor is it religion. That's not what I'm getting at. I think you are asking the wrong questions, and you're conflating theology with religion or the study of religion, such as, there's no way I'm saying that word, euchology, what the bleep? Eucomenology or Christology. I have no idea what these words are. I have no idea how to say these words. I'm going to put them on the screen. That's the best I can do. Yeah, whatever that is. Whatever. Okay, so I'm confused about what theology is. Well, great. They could come on my channel and explain theology then, I suppose. See, I think that theology by itself isn't a thing per se, that it has to be about a particular religion. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I'm never going to find out because they're not going to talk to me, I guess. Anyways. Now, I'm going to read what they wrote, but then I'll read the correction in a moment. Because what they wrote doesn't make sense, but I'm writing it as is. I'm trying to make a logical argument. I'm not trying to provide proof or evidence. I would further argue. Now, I'm going to stop now because they did correct this, and that correction is important because as written, that makes no sense. They're trying to make a logical argument, but not trying to provide proof or evidence. You can't do that. That's not going to work. They corrected themselves. They said, I meant to say I'm not trying to make a logical argument, and I'm not trying to provide proof or evidence. Okay, so they want to not provide any argument, any logic, or any evidence. And that they don't want to provide those things. So what the hell would we be talking about? I think that I just want to, it's like, this is what confuses me. Hey, I am this super smart person. Okay. I happen to believe in God. Cool. And you need to talk to somebody who isn't a moron. Okay, yeah. Let's come and talk. Except I don't want to be adversarial. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions, though. Well, I'm not here to prove anything. Wait, okay. I'm not going to give you any arguments, any logic. I just want to talk about things. Okay, so let's talk about Jar Jar Binks. I mean, might as well at that point, What are we going to be talking about? Oh, theology. Well, what about theology? We're going to be talking about theology, but not God. Okay, not sure how you're going to do that. But they clearly aren't as smart as they think they are because they don't understand why all of a sudden they would have to answer questions, Anyways, Someone who tried. Okay, back to the email. So they're not trying to provide proof or evidence. I would further argue that someone who tries to provide evidence about theology is entirely missing the point. Oh, okay. Let me pause the email here. I think that's interesting. So anyone that tries to prove what theology is missing the point. You can't prove what theology is. So the earlier comments that they made about what theology is, that it's a philosophy and that it's a tool and all that, you can't prove that. If you tried to prove that, you'd miss the point. That's not what theology is. Theology, apparently, is something you can't study or understand logically or have any proof of. That's what it really is. See, I'm so smart that I figured that out, I guess. That's just what I'm reading between the lines. Anyways, back to the email. Let me read the email now. Okay. There is no supporting evidence for divinity because divinity is principally defined by its unknowability. We call this influtable. Man, I can't say any words. Whatever that word is. Inevitable, ineffable, and whatever that ineffable. You can't F it up by humans. Theology is not faith. Really interesting. One can study theology as an atheist. Theology is not a myth. The same way psychology is not a myth. It is a framework for understanding something that fundamentally cannot be proven. Okay, let me pause the email again. So it's a framework for something that you can't prove. How can you study something like that? Well, I guess, like I said, you could study Jar Jar Binks. You can study Star Wars and Star Trek, What the hell is this? Whatever. I got some spam on my email here or phone here. Block and report spam. Okay. All right. That distracted me. So they think that theology cannot be proven. So how could you study it then? I don't know. But anyways, whatever. So yeah, you can't understand this skeptic philosophy. Here, let me put it what they said. Maybe like I said, maybe I should take what they said and just copy it to WordPad. That way, the words are on screen as well, or something. Let me see if I can do this in a way that makes sense. Even though I said, oh, no, we don't need to do that. I've changed my mind again. We do need to do that. And I am very professional, which is why I'm only doing that now in the middle of the live stream when I could have done it before I began. I'm smart like that. I'm brilliant. Never question my methods of madness. They are madness, but it makes sense to me. Maybe this is entertaining. I don't know. Is me like trying to launch a thing in the middle of the live stream? Is that entertaining? Don't know. Hopefully it is. Oh God, it's taking forever to load. Oh God, please load. Why did I say God? I don't believe in God. I shouldn't say God. Am I allowed to say God if I don't believe in God? Let me get rid of all their little things that explain who they are. So this should take just a moment. It will make sense. Just want to make sure I get rid of all the identifying, stuff in their email and all that. And it's backwards because I copied it from the email, so it's like, But okay, it's there. This is good enough. It's good enough. Okay, all right. because we don't need to go through all of it again. Almost shared my email. That would have been no. Oh, that would have been bad. That would have been bad. Oh, that would have been really, really bad. Oh man, that was almost a whoopsie. Okay, where was I? Okay, so theology is not a philosophy. It's not. Okay. You're asking the wrong questions. You're conflating theology. I read that. Let's see. Divinity. Oh, and then they did fix this. So I'm going to put in the edit there of what they fixed. It's just to make it, clear that they did realize that they, didn't have the word not before, but they did fix that later. So, because they emailed me right back after this one and said, I mean, I'm not trying to make it, So, where was I? Yeah, inevitable couldn't say that word. Theology is not faith. One can study theology as an atheist. Yeah, but when you study theology, aren't you studying a particular theology? Is there a theology that you could study by itself? Because I don't know that there is. I don't know. I've not even looked into it. I mean, I guess I could Google that and find out, but I don't know. They seem to think that there is a thing that you can study that's not a particular theology, just like about theology, like a general overview. Like, wouldn't that be comparative religions or something? But again, then you're looking at religion. So I don't. Anyways, it's not a myth. Well, yeah, but it's studying myth. So it's a framework for understanding something that fundamentally can't be proven. Weird. Okay. If we take psychology, for example, you can say that people with certain diagnoses tend to behave in statistically significant ways. That's not proof. Wait, what? It isn't? Oh, well, I gotta let the psychology people know that actually that, that's not proof. Okay. Didn't know that. We can actually understand how the minds of other people work. We cannot, sorry, I can't read. We cannot actually understand how the minds of other people work. Oh, we can't. Oh, okay. Did you know this? I didn't know that. This is amazing claims that they're making. By the way, they're an engineer, not a psychologist. So just saying, I don't think they know what the hell they're talking about. But, whatever. But psychology gives us tools for reasoning about human behavior. And we call that framework psychology. Okay, so theology gives us a way of understanding how God works, but it's not proof, because this is the analogy that I'm supposed to use to understand theology. So theology is not proof of God, but it is understanding the diagnoses, the way that statistically studies how God behaves in different ways. Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense, would it? So this analogy is broken and doesn't apply to God. Anyways, I think the major issue is here is you think. I love being told what I think. It's great. I love it. Don't you? Don't you? Everybody, do you at home appreciate when somebody tells you what you think, feel, and believe? I love it. It's great. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yes, most theists I talk to know exactly what I'm thinking. I know, it's great, isn't it, B.S. Lewis? Don't you love that? It's like, oh yeah, B.S. Lewis, you're thinking that, this. I love that. It's great. You think theology is religion. Oh, isn't it? It's not? What? It's not. Oh, okay. And it isn't. Okay, cool. Which is why I wanted to talk to you, because I think there's a place for studying theology and using it as a tool. But remember, they're not going to prove that, because they're not trying to make a logical argument or provide proof or evidence. So I'm not sure how they're going to show that theology is anything when they're not going to prove that it's anything. But that's what they wanted to talk about, but it's not going to be a good fit. Anyways, philosophical tool for reasoning. How do you perform reasoning on something that you can't prove? I don't know. But anyways, ultimately, there cannot be truth or falsifiability. Oh, so then it's not reason, because reasoning requires proof and falsifiability. So it's not reasoning. It's actually non-reasoning. is what they meant to say. But yeah, that's all right. It's all right. That's inconsistent with theology on its face. Oh man, wow, that's deep there. You got to really be smart. You got to be like a really good engineer to understand this. Any engineers out there in the audience? Anyone explain this to me, please? I don't know. I don't really have an interest in talking about people who are devotedly religious because religion is not particularly interesting to me. Okay, cool. But theology, as philosophy, is. Okay, but what does that mean? I don't understand. And I think that it's actually kind of beautiful. But you seem preoccupied with, for example, my feelings on. I seem preoccupied with their feelings. I do. Pretty sure I wasn't I mean, we'll go back through my emails to them and see if I was preoccupied with their feelings. But anyways, on the Christian God. Well, I'd like to know why you believe in the Christian God. That's not necessarily feelings, but I mean, I'd be interested in finding that out. We're never going to find it out, but okay. I think most of our views, such as on the age of the universe or the age of the earth or biology evolution, are probably exactly the same. Well, cool. That's good. I hope so, because that's reality. So cool. But anyways, I'm not your adversary. If anything, I wanted to offer you a counterpoint to all the religious people you've spoken to, who I find to be terribly misguided. Oh, like the playlist I sent you. Oh, okay. It makes me sad that people will go to school and get a doctorate and have questions about the age of the earth, who talk about kinds and evolution, which is just laughably problematic. I agree, it is. But you didn't want to come on and talk to me because it's not a good fit. So you don't like all this stuff going on. By the way, they don't have their own channel to talk about what's wrong with that I saw. So they didn't mention it. They wanted me to read their CV though. I mean, I'm not hiring an engineer anytime, so I don't know why I was going to read that. But anyways, I'm not running. Yeah, you are. I genuinely think you misunderstand my positions. I'm not a theist. I'm not a religious person. I'm an academic. I call myself a theologian because I study theology. Is none of this making sense? No, it's not. So they're a theologian, but they're not a theist. Okay. I just want to see my own email response. So just to go back on what I said, because I don't know that I was hyper focused on their feelings. Let's see. No, that doesn't. No, I don't see anything here that hints at that. Okay, let's see. I'm just okay. Let's see. Was I focused on their feelings here? Let's see. I don't see anything that suggests that. So let's see. Yeah, no, I don't see anything that suggests that I was hyper focused on their feelings in my emails to them. But yeah, sure, that's what. I just misunderstood their position, I guess somehow. Yeah, so I guess maybe now that I've shared this email with all of you, maybe you can help me understand what I missed. How did this go wrong? Well, like I said, I sent them my playlist on the theist, and I think maybe they watched a few moments of me talking to Dr. One More Name and decided, oh shit, this guy's gonna be mean to me. And they didn't, and that was it. They were done. They were like, oh, never mind. But I could be wrong. I don't know. That's just what I'm guessing. I'm just speculating. This isn't the end, by the way. There's one more. So let's see. Let me get the next bits up here in a way that makes sense to my brain and hopefully to your brains. hopefully to all the brains of all the things. So now I'm going to be reading my email, making sure that I'm not going to show that. Just making sure the things. Okay. All right. Do not share my email. Okay. All right. Or, well, I'm sharing what I wrote, but not my actual, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. I'm not a theologian. I just like to smell my own farts. Right. Universities are suppressing theology in their unrighteousness. Free their fairy. Oh, man, you guys. She's superiority globally. It's a prestigious study that is. Yeah, I know. I think so too. Anyway, this is my response to that last bit that I just read to you. So now I'm reading. Now this is me talking. Okay, just so you know, this is all me. Like, this is not them now. I should have read their stuff like in a different voice, maybe, but you know, since this is me, I do have a voice that I think I'll read this in. Oh my God. Like, B.S. Lewis will recognize this voice. Oh, no. I changed my mind. That would be no, wait. No, you already introduced me. Now I want, no, God, no. Go back in your box. Get back in your box. No, I don't want to. No, go back in your box. Okay, we're not going to do that. Wait, no, I want to talk. No, go away. No. Okay. You know, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. Let's just read this normally. Oh my God, like, what? No, stop. This would be very, very much, oh God damn it. This would very much be something I'd talk about on my channel. And some of the talks I've had gone very well. It just really depends on the person that's talking to me. I suspect you might have watched that part in the first video on the list. That one didn't end well, because he's a fraud, and I treat him as such. Examples of me being very kind to the guests, talking with Teverora and a talk with Namara Mysteries. Yeah, I said that was weird. Both of these people were honest, and thus the conversation was fine. I do need to point out that you are, in fact, making claims. You have made a claim about what theology is or is not. They did. They made that claim. I'm just pointing out that they did make a claim because they did. And if you don't want to make logical arguments, then we have no logical reason to accept your ideas. If you do not want to or cannot provide any evidence, then there's no reason to accept your conclusions. I'm happy to talk about what you think it is and why you think it matters and or how it is useful or not. I will, however, be blunt. I do not hold back. I will ask you questions. I will demand proof. I will require proof to be shown. I guess that's the same thing. I didn't need to say it twice, but whatever. If you cannot or will not provide such proof, I will point that out. I will highlight that and state we cannot and must not agree with your conclusions since you offer no reason to do so. My duty is to the truth, and my tool is informal logic. Now, I think that that's a fair response. You can tell me if you agree or disagree. You know, I don't know. All right, here we go. What do you think their response is going to be? You think it's going to be good? Do you? All right. Man, I really hope that when I switch screens, it didn't show it. And let's see. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Okay. Now this is him. He's got to go back to work. Get back in your closet, get converted man. Yeah, exactly. Later, skeptic philosophy. He'll come back. Maybe he'll watch this later, hopefully. So this is his response. I am not making ... claims about theology. The word combines theos, God, and logos, discourse, study, to create one word. Discourse/study of divinity, God, is an abstract concept in theology. For example, do I need to make a claim about what studying is to say that I have studied theology? No, but your claim, so let me pause there for a moment. Your claim was that theology is a tool. That's what the claim was. and now you're claiming the things about the word itself, which you could prove, by the way. That's easy to prove, but you are making claims about what the word is. So that's also a claim. So yes, you are making claims. Everything that I am saying now is also a claim. Everything is claims. It's getting dumber. It hurts. No, wait, it's better. No, it's better. Let's keep reading. Anyways, this is what is confusing and frustrating about talking to you. Oh man, it's not just. It's so frustrating talking to me. I know. I think you misunderstand me. Well, then come and he could have come and talk. I do not have positions. Oh man, I gotta stop there. Hold on. They don't have positions. Okay, so all the things that they said before in the previous emails, those weren't positions that they had. They don't have a stance about what theology actually is. It's not that it's a tool that you can understand in philosophy to understand the unknowable and unprovable things. That's not their position because they don't have positions. Oh, see, I was wrong. See, I thought that they wanted to talk about things that they have some sort of idea about, which would be a position that you have. But apparently, I'm talking to somebody that has no positions on anything at all. Great. I'm not sure what we would talk about, but okay. That'd be interesting. Anyways, whatever. Unless you want to talk about software engineering. I have some personal beliefs about divinity, but I understand that I am mortal. Huh? What? Huh? Sorry. None of them can be proven. I do not share them with others. So wait. But earlier you said you were a theist, so I know that you believe about God. So you did share that with me. So you do actually share them with others. And did I not think that they should be shared with others? Then why did you tell me you were a theist then? Wait, what? Well, I guess they don't want to share their personal beliefs about God. Okay. I did not really want to discuss that because I think people trying to convince others of their beliefs in divinity is honestly pretty obnoxious behavior. Well, I mean, okay, but I want to know why you believe in God. That's kind of like my whole thing, but whatever. I would also be interested in talking about just whatever the hell you think of theology is or isn't, or I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So, it's so anyways, I don't, So what did I say to that? Here, whoopsie. Well, here's what I said. Perhaps you can explain what you mean live when we talk. If not, that's fine. I happen to be awake right now. We can do this now or whatever. Let me know. All right. Now, do you think that they want to talk after all this back and forth? What do you guys think? Well, no, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video. All right. So what do they say in response to, hey, look, I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Let's talk about it. Then you can explain what the hell you mean. That'd be good. No, okay. I think it's best to disengage. I feel like I'd be ambushed. Oh. And I didn't want to reach out to try to defend religion or anything. I'm not trying to defend things, and I don't want to debate. It's just a misunderstanding, I guess. I thought it'd be helpful to hear from someone who studied theology and doesn't have these really weird, indefensible opinions, and I was hoping to share with you how it could be used in a non-shitty way instead of an oppressive way. Sorry for wasting your time. Oh, well, wow. So what do you think my response was? Now this is probably not very nice, but it is my response, and I'll share that. Even though I've never heard from this person since, and I'll probably never hear them again. I said, "Yep, it was a waste of time. You had nothing to offer, and that you saw that it would be called out on that, and so ran away. Nothing new to me. I've seen it before, and I'll see it again." So I had to get my one dig in there before they ran away. But anyway, so that's this email exchange that we had there. So what can we conclude from that? Not much. Somebody wanted to talk to me about theology, but they didn't want to offer any proof or evidence or anything to back up their ideas about theology. They didn't want to debate. They didn't want to talk about God or why they believed in God. They just wanted to talk about theology and show that it was a tool, but to do so in a way where they didn't have to actually offer any proof or evidence or anything like the sort. They didn't want to answer questions because they didn't want to be ambushed by, questions about their ideas. So they just wanted to say stuff and not be challenged, and then also show that they're smart. That's really important, that I know that they're smart and that other people know that they're smart, and not do it in a shitty way. And they're going to do that by actually not talking to me and running away. That's actually the most shittiest thing you could do. Makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. I mean, anyways, so that's what happened. Interesting, isn't it? What do you make of it? Let me know in the comments below or whatever. Whatever. I mean, it's like this happens every now and then with, like, I'll watch the Atheist Experience or things like that, that are out there, and people will call in like, oh, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about, like, you don't have proof, but, like, I don't have proof. I don't really want to talk about proof. I don't want to talk about evidence. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, well, I want to, and they started screening calls harder to get rid of that stuff, but it would show up every now and then, where people, like, they didn't know what the hell they wanted to talk about. Like, yes, I want to talk about God, but I don't want to prove God. I don't want to argue. I just want to say stuff. I just want to say nonsense, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so that's what this was. And pretty interesting. I mean, look, yes, people that believe in God, some of them are very smart. I've never thought otherwise. Yes, intelligent people believe in God, and intelligent people don't believe in God. Stupid people believe in God, and stupid people don't believe in God. It doesn't. Either way, it doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't tell us if the idea is true or not. How smart you are or aren't doesn't mean that the idea that you hold is true or not true. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. But we're certainly going to need to demonstrate that the idea is true. And in this case, it was the idea about what theology is or isn't that they would somehow have to demonstrate. Because I'm not just going to accept their word that theology is what they claim. I would say, why do you think that? Where did you get this idea from? What books? What philosophy is this under? What philosophers? What are you talking about? Why does any of this matter? In what way, shape, and form does it matter? I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask critical questions, skeptical questions. And if you don't have any logic, and you don't have any evidence, and you don't have any proof, then why the hell should we care about anything you say? And as far as talking about God, they didn't want to do that at all. Okay, but then why? Because they don't like that people do that. Okay, well, make a YouTube channel where you talk about that people shouldn't share God, which would be interesting, because especially if you are happen to be a Christian, because the Bible says to share God at every opportunity. So it's pretty clear about that. So I'm not sure how you could maintain both ideas at the same time, but whatever, he just wanted you to smell his farts with him and tell him they smell so good. I guess. I mean, I don't know, man. Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, all right. Well, anyways, like I said, I reordered the playlist of theists so that the nice one is on top. The nice first two are on top, and then that third one's the bad one that, with that idiot paywall, Dr. No One More Name paywall guy, who got smashed a couple times by TMM. But my videos are longer and more convoluted, and so mine are better than TMM, and he has more subs than me, so mine are obviously better than his, because even though I don't have as many subs, I have quality audience. My audience is the best audience of all time ever, and that's true. I have a scientific study. I'm not going to show you it, but I totally do. It's there. I don't have to prove it to you or give you a logical argument or anything. It's just accept that you're awesome. All right. Until next time, be skeptical. And after next time, stay skeptical. And I'll do that video on that other video at some other time, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Later.